Hello there, and welcome to my first YouTube video in any capacity. I've made lots of friends in the fandom over the course of the pandemic. Lots of them make arts, crafts, they have their own podcasts, they publish articles, and they put their Star Wars love out there. And I've had a lot of people encourage me to do the same, and I realized I have well over 220 Black Series figures and quite a few vintage collection figures. And I thought I'd just put my voice out there of what I think of them, and if it's helping somebody make a decision to buy something, or engaging with hardcore collectors, that's great. And it's an expensive hobby, so helping somebody make a decision on whether or not to buy something, whether they want to join the collecting community or they're just kind of casually picking up figures here and there, or they just want a desk buddy. If it's helpful, that's great, and that's kind of what I'm going for. But ultimately, I just want to put my Star Wars love out there and just engage further with the community. So today I wanted to start with the Kamino clone trooper, which is the Clone Wars subline of the new Phase 4 and number 1 in its box. These particular clones show up, they're heavily featured in the Clone Wars arc with 5s in the Lost season, and they're under the command of General Shakti, and they do make a brief appearance in the background in the Bad Batch premiere Aftermath. And they are also on a new body mold for the clones, which is something I want to go over a little bit later, but I think the new mold looks fantastic. They do have kind of an animated style, but also kind of an amalgamation with the classic clone body, or the classic film representation. Starting with the old clone, from head to toe, he does just have a ball joint at the head, which does allow him to look down quite a bit. Up, not so much. Can turn side to side pretty decently, and that does vary from clone to clone. My Commander Gree can't look side to side without his head popping off. The shoulder pauldron is hard plastic, and it does get in the way, so you can't really lift the arm all that much. For the elbows, this is probably the biggest disappointment with the figure, is that it's double jointed but gives you less than 90 degrees, and that really hinders any sort of pose where he's holding the blaster. For the right hand, it is on a vertical hinge, so you get that nice up and down for the gunslinging hand. And on the right, it's just a horizontal hinge, in and out. Here's a nice ball joint in the midsection. He does have a thigh cut. You can kick out quite a bit, forward and backwards. And he does have double jointed knees. The only problem is that you can't really get him to crouch. I'll show you what I mean. This thigh piece kind of gets in the way, and you can't really get him into an actual crouching position just because this thigh piece, and there's nothing here, there's no swivel to reorient the leg. So he just kind of falls over. That's the closest I can get. This is just me being a grown man struggling to pose an action figure at this point. But yeah, overall, it's very static. The design, it has a lot of hindrances there, even though you would think that something that is double jointed would have a pretty great range of motion. It's pretty disappointing. With the new clone, starting from head to toe, with the head and the neck, they've decided to go with a dumbbell joint, and at the bottom and at the base of the skull are two different joints, so you can get some really great range of motion. You can get some attitude with this clone. You can get all sorts of head waggle. You can look down a little bit. You can look up. pretty decently, but he can also look side to side. He can tilt his head, kind of a curious look, like what's going on over there. And with the shoulders, instead of having a very hard plastic piece, they've decided to go with a kind of rubbery plastic that does move out of the way, and it's just glued at the top of the bicep. So when you lift, it will scrunch up a little bit, but you can just pop it out of the way. It allows you to go up to about 90. One of the best features that they added is the inclusion of a butterfly joint. See, it goes in and out. This allows for some really great poses with his blasters. One of the best improvements over the old clone is the elbow articulation, where you can get past 90 pretty easily, and this is just with a single joint, and it's done away with that pinned look, so it looks more seamless. It does have a soft rubbery plastic for this elbow piece that covers part of the joint. The elbow pad and the strap that goes around it, I will note that some people have had theirs tear just from being pinched in the joint, so I always try to push mine up as close to the bicep as possible, but also not under the bicep. I just had mine get pinched a little bit when posing it, but I just try to move it out of the way and not bend all the way with the elbow just to avoid pinch. So the last major improvement that I wanted to talk about is with the ability to actually have the clone crouch, and they've decided to go with a single joint for the knee, so it doesn't have as great of a range of motion as a double jointed in terms of, bending, but you can actually get him in a crouching position, and that's all I really care about. They did make a particularly strange choice with the knee pad, however. It is glued to the thigh piece as opposed to being glued to the shin. And what allows you to really crouch is there is just like with the old one, there is a swivel at the top of the thigh, moves out of the way, but now there's a swivel here at the bottom of the thigh where the knee goes. You can just push the knee pad out of the way. It's another soft rubbery plastic. And here you go. You're in a crouching pose relatively easily. But like I said, you get this kind of awkward situation where the knee pad is out of the way when it should be right here. So that was a strange choice on Hasbro's part. In terms of accessories, this particular version of the clone comes with the DC-15A blaster rifle and the DC-15S blaster carbine. Both fit very well in the clone's hand. I will note, be a little careful when putting the left hand on the DC-15A blaster rifle when going for this hand grip that doubles as a scope. It is on there and it's very thin, and you can twist it very easily if you're trying to force it in there, so I usually try to grip a little bit further up and then just slide the hand down. So this is the worst I got with the clones being deformed, this one pretty badly. I tried fixing it with hot water, and I'm a little disappointed, and it does make me a little hesitant to pre-order more clones in the future. Of course, I would rather pre-order a figure than wait, because nowadays I just can't find anything in stores, and most of these fan channels like Dorkside, Big Bad Toy Store, Entertainment Earth, it's pretty easy to actually get a figure and secure a pre-order and have that peace of mind. So it's a trade-off. Not all of them came out this way. They've been getting better. My Elite Squad Troopers all came out pretty great. Same with the 332nd and the Phase 1 Clone Trooper. And this is just the worst of the worst that I've gotten. Overall, I'm very satisfied with these clones. I think that they look great. They're kind of a mesh between the animated style and the more realistic style of clones, and I'm fine with that. I think that it looks fine next to the more realistic interpretations, like they went with Captain Rex. I think that specifically the Kamino clones look really great. I like the dark gray. I like the markings on their shoulder pads, and I think it's a step in the right direction. The butterfly joints, the single jointed elbows, and the single jointed knees, they give us a really great range of motion. And while they're not perfect, I know the knee pad kind of bothers some people and they've had problems with some of the helmets warping. I think it's a step in the right direction, and I'm really looking forward to seeing Hasbro put more clones, clone legions on this body. Right now, I have them kind of posed next to Wolf as a stand-in for the Wolf Pack, but hopefully we do get a Wolf Pack trooper down the line, and hopefully we get a Shaak Ti so I can put my clones with their Jedi General.